with gin joints and...
Too busy living.
I watched sea beams.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
So how do you think your friends and family and acquaintances would treat you if you got up one morning and decided you were an atheist instead of religious, or religious instead of atheist, or gay instead of straight, or straight instead of gay, or you were a person of sort of average intelligence and you woke up in the morning and you were brilliant, not just brilliant, you were a genius, not just a genius, but the smartest person in the world when you woke up in the morning? How would everybody treat you? Well, that last scenario is what this movie, Phenomenon from 1996, is all about. I will dive into that and do a short review without plot spoilers, as usual. And then after that, I'll dive in further with plot spoilers. But let's take a look. Let's review. Okay, so you've got George Malley, played wonderfully by John Travolta. He's the guy, as you saw in the trailer for the movie. And by the way, I don't give away anything more than the trailer, really, when I do these brief overall reviews without plot spoilers. He's the guy, he's the regular guy. He owns a little shop, a car repair shop in a small town in Northern California. Everybody loves George. He's a sweet guy. He never gets mad. He does things for people. He doesn't lose his temper, and he's just a sweet guy. And he all of a sudden gets hit by a light in the sky, as well as there's a boom also, gets knocked on his back. And George all of a sudden is a genius. He doesn't know it yet. Nobody knows it. But there's some really clever little things done right after this happens concerning chess, the game of chess.
That's mate, Doc.
Wait, George. What in the hell is going on here?
And stuff to sort of insinuate that there's something going on. It's really nicely done by the director, Turteltaub, on this, and others. And it's played out well by George, John Travolta, and the other characters. And then there's also a bunch of other sweetness in this movie. And of course, how are people going to treat the new George?
I can't sleep ever since the... I gotta go. Get back to work.
Ever since the sighting.
Roger, it was a damn light.
And a boom.
He's not just the easygoing, sort of, kind of not too smart, but, regular kind of guy who's all of a sudden a genius who doesn't sleep at all at night, at all, ever, 24 hours a day, doesn't sleep. And not only that, but he's got telekinetic powers. He can change things around him.
Believing what you never thought possible.
He's in the community now, and he's this almost completely different capable guy. He's still George, really. He doesn't understand it. He's confused. But this movie doesn't dive into that a whole lot. It spends a lot of time sort of showing the things that he can now do. It spends a little bit too much time doing that occasionally. And it shows his telekinetic powers. It goes a little too far with that. We're like, okay, yeah, I get it.
People have been doing astounding things we can't explain.
But there's not a whole lot of drama in this movie, except towards the end. And that's probably my main problem with this, is that there's not much edge on his character. Like, what would you be like? What would I be like if all of a sudden I woke up in the morning and I was the smartest person in the world by far, by leaps and bounds? I mean, it would be mind-blowing and life-changing. You've got all of a sudden, you start figuring out who the hell you are again, almost. So the movie doesn't really do that. It doesn't have him using these new powers accidentally in the wrong way. And you would expect that. A guy's got telekinetic powers. He's going to accidentally do things that he's not supposed to do with those powers. Like get sort of mad with somebody because he's getting harassed all the time, and, kind of shutting down their vocal cords just for a second. He didn't mean to do it, But then he does that and the entire community goes crazy. Oh my God, our nice, sweet guy can shut down your vocal cords, can stop you from speaking. You know, the movie doesn't go there. They don't want to go there. So it's a bit syrupy. The movie it kind of glosses over what would happen to a personality that has a life-changing experience like this. So that would have created a lot of drama in the movie. And it would have also made it to where his character has to develop. He's got to learn, how do I control this new power that I've got? And so there's that. But it's got a lot of sweet moments. There are a lot of great lines in this movie. I mean, over and over and over. And the four main characters, George Lace, Nate, and Doc, played by John Travolta, Keira Sedgwick, and Forrest Whitaker, and Robert Duvall, it's terrific acting, great characters. And George himself is so sweet. The way he woos Lace, and you kind of saw this a little bit in the trailer, is wonderful. And it has to do with chairs. And it's really nice. And then the ending on this movie, I'm not going to tell you what the ending on this movie is. You're going to love it or hate it. That's all I'm going to tell you. But I will tell you, well, I'll tell you one more thing. It's dramatic. And brought a few tears to my eyes. I'm not saying whether they were happy tears or sad tears, but boy, it's a moving ending on this phenomenon. So anyway, if you want to grab some popcorn and have sort of a canoe ride down a stream with lovely scenery and interesting people, well, then this movie's for you. I'm probably going to give it about 7 popcorns out of 10 because it does lack some good drama that I think it needed, and because of the writing that involved that. But if you want a sweet movie that does have its moments, lots of good moments, well, then Phenomenon is for you. Okay, so I'm going to jump in a little bit deeper into this and talk about that here in just a second. Plot spoilers. Okay, on this deep dive into Phenomenon, I'm going to go into my 8 categories that I always go into that I consider to be the main areas that make a good movie. You see those on the screen in front of you. The main problem I had with this, I'll start with drama, is the lack of drama, like I said before, and the resultant pacing is slow because of the lack of drama and because they spend just a little bit too much time showing us what George's abilities are, you know, the whole Portuguese thing, which was well done.
El doutor vai dar-lhes uma coisa para ficar melhor. Calmas, calmas.
Obrigado. Obrigado.
Tito drove the truck while I read the book.
George Malley, you learned the Portuguese language in 20 minutes?
Not all of it.
But the quiz thing going on too long.
Answer as quickly as you can. How old is a person born in 1928?
Man or woman? What month? What time? Where? Well, let's get specific, Bob. I mean, if the guy's still alive, born in California, October 3rd, 1928, 10 p.m., he's 67 years, 9 months, 22 days, 14 hours, and 12 minutes. If he's born in New York, he's 3 hours older now, isn't he?
You know, I get it. He's going to ask a bunch of different questions. You know, I thought it would have been better if he had just said, you know, tell me, I need to know this, instead of it going sort of on and on and on. Well, he's going to ask another thing. Okay, I get it. So I thought that, you know, the pacing, tighten that up. The writing should have tightened that up. And I didn't understand why he was asking whether male or female. That didn't make sense to me. If somebody understood why that would make a difference, please let me know in the comments section. So that was a bit hokey. And there were some other scenes I had a problem with that I'll get into. But most scenes in this movie were really good. But let me get back to the drama. This movie is a bit sugar-coated. I mean, George's character, played by John Travolta, is almost a Christ-like type of person. And that's not going to be an interesting person because they're too gentle, too forgiving, and hardly ever lose their temper. He only loses his temper once in this movie, despite this earth-shaking thing that happened to him. You know, when that thing with the mirror in the bar.
A mistake is what it is. It was supposed to happen to someone smart, but it didn't happen to me.
Now that was a good scene, but I expected a whole lot more. Like, for instance, when, you know, Kira Sedgwick's character, Lace, gets him to go to that booth. He decides to go to that booth in the town square and let everybody ask him questions and try to explain to everybody. And it gets to be too much for him.
Now that's it.
Well, why can't we do it?
Well, focus, clarity of thought. I don't know. Maybe you can, Baines.
What about the UFOs? What are they?
I don't know that either.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
This power began the night that you saw the object in the sky.
That was a light.
You know, and that's a good scene in the sense of showing what people are like, though it over exaggerates a little bit, really. I mean, it overblows the intensity of what's happening, but it gets the point across. But I really think that if they really wanted to add some drama to this movie, what he would have done in that scene in the booth when everybody is coming after him and he's getting confused and he was being so benevolent and trying to communicate with everybody, is all of a sudden he's thinking to himself, God, I just wish everybody would shut up. And that's what happens. His telekinetic powers kick in. Everybody loses their voice. Nobody can talk. Everybody grabs their throat and they're like, what's going on? Including the reporter. I think that would have been funny.
What sort of light was it?
Now that's not unlike us. We think
Why
that-
won't you
that
tell
we're
us what you know
disconnected,
about
that
the
we're separate.
UFOs?
You sure it
Can you
wasn't
move
the
the table?
aliens?
But you know,
How did
we're-
you feel when you saw that
I
light?
think you know more than you're telling us.
we're not now.
But the aliens were
Imagine
right.
if
I
we
haven't
go
seen the
to
light
you.
since the 28th.
For a second, anyway, the reporter can't talk. How many times have I wanted reporters to stop talking? So for a moment, it's kind of funny, but then it's scary to everybody. And then all of a sudden, they all look up at George. He doesn't even realize what he's done. And then it shoots over to Lace, who's watching everything, and she had a smile on her face, and all of a sudden she's doing this. All of a sudden, George, sweet George, is the most dangerous person in town. And then he releases everybody's voice, and he apologizes, but everybody starts running away. And he's just standing there by himself, staring. And Kira and the kids are watching him. They don't go. That would have been, can you imagine what more that would have done to this movie? What kind of drama? And he becomes a pariah in the community before the good people who love him start coming back to him and saying, George, what happened? And they forgive him for doing that. And they realize, and he explains to them, and they realize he's a sweet guy. He just doesn't know how to handle the telekinesis. Okay, that's what I'm talking about with this movie. That's what this movie is missing. As well as some humor. So much humor could come from this. One thing I was thinking is, you know, all of a sudden, he's reading 4 books a day. I think it would have been really fun. And before, he's a car mechanic. He never reads. Never goes to the library to check out books. So how about a scene where he goes to the library to check out books. He grabs 8 books, goes up to the counter, and the sweet old lady up there says, George, what are you doing? He goes, I'm checking out books. But George, you've never checked out books before. Yeah, I like books now. But George, what are you going to do with them? You going to stand on them to reach the light, to change the light bulb? You know, ladders are cheap, George. And then he gets a big smile on his face. That brings home the point of how much he's reading. And it puts a little bit of humor into the community. Like, how does this affect everybody? Because that kind of thing would affect everybody, including the local librarian. You know? So those kinds of moments are missing in the movie. And I thought the whole the shortwave radio thing with Forrest Whitaker's character, Nate, was a really nice scene.
Telling you, the whole field of photovoltaics is just in baby land. I mean, you know, the idea that plants have been storing and using the sun's energy since the birth of the world. I mean, photosynthesis is a model for us. And we're just scratching the surface on what we can do with these silicon cells, I'm telling you. What? What?
You just talk so fast, George, and you know so much stuff.
And by the way, I just love Forrest Whitaker in this. Boy, the acting is understated and nice. And he remains friends. Nice touch. Just a sweet guy. But, you know, asks direct questions. He's a good character. But that's a good scene with the shortwave radio. But why not bring that in earlier and have that sort of ominous government threat hanging over a lot of the movie, where they come in and out and maybe even sort of threatening to put him in jail because he's a threat to national security.
What is that?
This is just computers talking to computers.
Leave it.
Come on, the Morse code's going too fast for you to pick that out.
No. It's I can hear it.
Whoa.
No, I'll tell you what it is. A repeated pattern of looping message. I'll be sending a coded message like that in simple Morse.
Oh, man, look. I pick up like 2 different Air Force bases. I think we better leave this one alone, George.
No, this is a different one. Listen.
Bring that in more. You know, we need some drama in this movie. What is the effect of the local car mechanic becoming the smartest man in the world with telekinetic powers? What does happen? And it's near an Air Force base that needs high security. What happens in that situation? But the makers of this movie, the writer of the movie, he does a good. Most of the writing in this movie is very well done. But the writer's name is Gerard DePego, and of course directed by John Turteltaub. But he's not creating that kind of dramatic movie. He's creating the sort of almost Christ-like, sweet, gentle guy. What happens to a sweet, gentle guy? And he's decided he's going to remain sweet and gentle. He's going to be confused, but he's so nice, he still remains nice, that everybody is supposed to love him, even though some people don't. Because some people are afraid, and the movie does get that across in several scenes. And one of the best scenes, perhaps one of the top 3 scenes in the movie, is when it happens at the bar and Doc blows up.
Doc's making no sense tonight.
Yeah, maybe caught it from George.
God damn it! Why do you have to tear him down? What are you so afraid of? What have you got to lose? He wasn't selling anything. He didn't want anything from anybody. He wanted nothing from nobody. Nothing.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal scene. And I mean, that's award-winning acting by Robert Duvall as Doc. But that really brings home. But how much more poignant would that scene have been if there had been more drama in the movie, more tension in the movie, and that we can understand better why they're being so sniveling, you know? And Doc's message, Doc's speech has more power. Doc is defending George. And Doc is, of course, sort of a father figure to George, and I love that. Their scenes together are wonderful. But another scene that I found kind of preachy and out of character, where George all of a sudden has this aplomb, this world, not weariness, but this, there's a French phrase for it, it's called savoir-faire. He's savvy. All of a sudden, he's super savvy. And it's in that human possibility scene where he's being interrogated.
What else? You're not a scholar.
I'll tell you what I am, okay? I'll tell you what I think I am. I think I'm what everybody can be.
Everyone with a malignant tentacle.
No. That just helped me get here. Okay, I mean, anybody can get here. I'm the possibility, all right? I mean, I think you've got this desperate grasp on the technology and this grasp on science, and you don't have a hand left to grasp what's important.
George,
If I had to choose between a tumor that got me here and some flash of light from an alien craft, I'd choose the tumor, I would, because it's here, within us. What I'm talking about is the human spirit. That's the challenge. That's the voyage. That's the expedition.
Yeah, You know, that speech is so preachy. And really, frankly, I didn't quite understand what he was talking about with, I am everybody. This is everybody. You know, I would choose to be that because that's what I am. I mean, would you really? Would you really? I wouldn't. If I was going to die prematurely within a couple of months of getting that, I wouldn't choose it. So it's kind of hokey. And that whole thing about, I mean, I'm glad he chose to live his life. Obviously, that was good. But, you know, this is what the human spirit can be. You know? No, not really. The human spirit just is what it is. I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but it's clunky. The writing is not good on that scene. And look at the way he acted on that. He's got way too much savviness there. All of a sudden, sweet George turns into this professor. And it did not work. I know what they were trying to do. And the good thing about this movie is it doesn't preach much. But they were trying to do it to us there, and they should have backed off and written it better. He should have stayed sweet and then made a few comments that got all of this home to us. You know? Like, this is who I am now. So I just want to go and be who I am now. And isn't that what everybody should be? Is whoever they are now? So I think I'll go. You know, that would have been in character. So that was a bit weird. I liked the earthquake scene a lot. Thought that was very well done. And some great humor at the table. Love that the boy is shaking the table. That was hilarious.
Look! Kill you.
And I liked, you knew it was coming. You know it's coming. He leaves, and Lace is there with Al and Glory, her two kids. Of course, the earthquake hits.
For sure it was a UFO.
And George was right in his prediction. But even though you know it's coming, it still has a lot of impact. So I want to talk about the romance just a little bit, in the sense that I felt like the writer and director took just a little bit too long for the romance to blossom on this. Yeah, I get it. She's closed off. She lost her husband from a while back. And, excuse me. And, you know, she's tightened up. She doesn't want to get hurt again. I get that. It's a bit of a cliche though, isn't it? And he's a sweet guy. I love the whole chair thing. I mean, my God, how much sweeter can that get? But then when she finds out that he's been hoarding her chairs, I thought that would have been a great moment. I think it should have been the moment where she warms up to him a little bit. Really. She kind of went down a notch for me when she got upset that he was buying her chairs. Yeah, I know. She thinks that her chairs are very popular now and that a bunch of people are buying them. So she thinks she's more successful than she really is, but she's not. George has been buying them all. But you know what? Get past it. He's bought them. He's bought them because he loves you, or thinks he loves you. You know? So I just felt like it took a little too long to get that romance going. And then another problem you have is, who's she in love with? Is she in love with Car Mechanic George, or is she in love with the new astounding George? So that, because we don't get any hint of interest from her at the beginning of the movie, this now becomes a problem. You know, have I got a trophy boyfriend? And I know they don't really make it look that way, but it's got to be going through your head a little bit. And so for me, it takes away a little bit from the end, although there are two phenomenal scenes, phenomenal scenes in this. The haircut scene.
Is it close enough?
You tell me.
It's pretty close.
It's just brilliant. I mean, I've never seen that in a movie before. You know, how close is the shave? Puts her cheek up there. Wow. Just wow. Took me a second to get that. Because I thought she was going to kiss him. Then I thought she was just going to hug him. And then I realized what she was doing. Boy, that's just brilliant writing, brilliant directing. And the acting by Kira Sedgwick and John Travolta in that scene is just, I mean, I think I got sort of goosebumps on that scene. It's so nicely done. And then, of course, the last scene. The last scene is so poignant between them. And then when he says, "It's time now," boy, that hit me like a thunderbolt.
It's happening.
No, wait. Wait. No.
It's gonna be okay.
George.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, honey.
No.
And he was so nonchalant about it, so sweet about it. Yeah, I teared up. Boy, how can you not tear up there, my friends? Goodness freaking gracious. I mean, I never like it when the protagonist of a movie dies. In fact, I will not give a movie a 10 popcorns out of 10 if the main character you've come to love dies. It's just not going to happen. Braveheart, not going to get a 10. This not going to get it. I mean, it's got to be a happy ending for me. That's what life's all about. The good guys got to win. And yeah, that shows us with Forrest and the Portuguese woman. I love that sort of development. She's pregnant, but it's a year later. They're going to celebrate George's birthday. That makes me happy, but George isn't there, folks. I don't care how happy it is, the fog is settling, the cloud is hanging over the fact that George isn't there anymore.
Take it through. Take it through.
I don't care how much they're celebrating his life. It's not enough for me, folks. It's just not enough. And when I say happy endings, I don't mean syrupy. I just mean the protagonist earned the happy ending. Drama, got to go through a lot, whatever, but you can't die. You just can't die. I don't care. The light comes back, takes the tumor away, whatever. He's back to George, regular George. He's not smart anymore, but Lace still loves him. Finds him on the street, picks him up on the street. He's not smart anymore. Maybe he even says it. I don't know Portuguese. I've lost my Portuguese. And she says, that's okay. Let's go home. You know, something. But it just can't end that way. It's too sad. Even though everybody's happy, the corn is high like George said it would be, etc. It's just not good. Let me just talk for a second about the acting by the kids in this. I thought David Gallagher and Ashley Busille did a wonderful job as Al and Glory. Glory doesn't get a whole bunch of screen time. Al does. I thought he did a wonderful job in that scene where he looks up there at the truck there close to the end and he says, "You came here to die."
What?
You came here to die, didn't you?
Yeah. And I loved the fact that George doesn't talk down to Al. He just gently nods his head. Boy, how poignant was that? That's great writing, great directing, great acting yet again in this movie. It's a pretty smart movie. And I'm glad they didn't do the cliche, well, you know, he doesn't say, well, you know, I came back to be with y'all. No, no, please don't do that. And thankfully, they didn't do that. The death hangs over it, but it's done in an optimistic, positive way that deals directly, has enough respect for Al. George has enough respect for him to just nod. And boy, how do you love the directness of that boy there? Just loved it. So anyway, thought that was really wonderful acting and the writing and everything on that scene. So one scene I thought went a little too far was the orchard scene, where George, of course, saves the young Portuguese boy. I mean, you know, come on. He's sitting there pointing up and pulling the boards off of the little tree house.
There's a ladder under there. Come on.
Yeah, that's just too much. Come on. I mean, that just struck me as one of those alien movies, you know, where the powers are thunderbolting out of the fingers. You know, why doesn't he just do what he did with the pen? He just stares at it. You know, that would be more subtle. Yeah, it may take a little while for everybody around him to figure out that it's him doing it, but you know, it's not this showboating of the telekinesis. I kind of cringed on that scene. I'm just like, okay, let's get this over with, you know. And also, why did he have to take the boards off the treehouse? I mean, couldn't he have just pointed and everybody goes over there? They climb up, pull a few boards off, climb up. That did not have to happen. That was overdone. So, yeah, I liked in this movie how Doc stood by him the entire time. I love that love between Doc and George. Thought it was really well done. I liked the sort of matter-of-fact caretaker, avuncular aspect of Doc, and that he just really endeared himself to me. And he was sort of a protector. Very well done. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I thought there would be something, but there's not. I will definitely watch this movie again. When I'm in sort of I want to be in that canoe, going down a stream, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the dialogue, enjoying the characters. This is not going to be a movie like Casablanca or something else where not only is it a lovely movie, but it's deep, it's profound. It has a lot of personal drama in it. And there's a lot hanging over everything. And where there's also a happy ending that's deserved. Hard fought, hard won, but deserved. So yeah, those are the problems I have with this. But you know what? I'm still going to give this movie 7 popcorns because damn it, it was a thrill. Thrill is probably not the right word. It was just a joy with great moments, some really great writing, some very fine directing, some wonderful acting, and I felt like I had an experience with this movie. And you know, you don't get to say that a lot of times. So I'll give it 7 popcorns, and y'all let me know what you think. You know, I get something wrong or I didn't go deep enough into something, let me know. Okay, I'll catch you soon. Back at the movies. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.